to the grocery store and picked up some really nice big size stew meat. Or you can pick yourself up a chuck roast and, you know, chunk that up yourself. So you want it in about 2 to 3 inch pieces. So nice sized pieces, not too little. And by the way, this is going to take some time. This recipe is going to take a good 3 to 4 hours in your oven, and that's why I think Mimi loved it. She didn't use slow cooker too much back in the day, but what she would love about it is that she could whip it all together, get it in her oven, and she had 3 or 4 hours then to set the table and, you know, do her makeup and get ready for the party. And then by the time everyone would get there, and it'd be done. So it's the perfect kind of leave it recipe, as she called it, just leave it beef and wine. So I've got about 3, or it depends on how many people you're having, 3 to 4 pounds of chuck roast that we've trimmed the fat off of and just chunking it into pretty big chunks. Or as I said, you could call the meat department and have them do this and have it all ready for you. Stew meat works well too. Oftentimes if a chuck roast is on sale, I'll buy it. That's a great time to buy it, and then just cut it up myself. That way I can kind of control the quality of it and, you know, make sure there's not a lot of fat in there, things like that. Oh, so then take a big bowl. You want to get a real big bowl and take all of this meat. This is great if you're doing like a big dinner party. You could, you know, double, it makes a pretty big batch, but you could certainly double the recipe and, you know, just do it in a bigger casserole dish. Okay, so then we're not gonna even take the time to brown it. It's that easy of a recipe, but because we're not taking the time to brown this, we really need to add some great flavor. So we're gonna do 1 envelope of onion soup mix, dried onion soup mix. That's going to give that beef some really great flavor. 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. I'm just going to eyeball it. I know Mimi didn't pull out a measuring spoon for this. She just do a couple of good splashes. 3 different cans of cream soup. 1 can of cream of chicken soup. 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. Hardest part of this recipe is just getting the soup out of the can. It's that easy, but it really works together and it is fantastic. Definitely a family favorite. And then 1 can of cream of celery soup. And the 3 soups really work together, and with all this beef and the other ingredients we're going to add, you can't even tell. It's really makes the most wonderful beef gravy. Can't really tell you're eating, you know, the cream soups. We're really going to jazz it up, and it's fantastic. I know Anne's really excited about this. She loves this recipe. She's been smelling it all morning because we've had it in the oven all morning long. Okay, then we're going to do, the recipe is called Just Leave It Beef and Wine. So we've got our chuck roast that we've chunked up, our 1 envelope of dried French onion soup, a couple tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, the 1 can each of cream of mushroom, cream of chicken, and cream of celery soup. And in goes now 1 cup of a dry red wine. You want to use a drier wine. You don't want to use a sweet wine. We happen to love our Door Peninsula wine. This is their Peninsula red wine. Works perfectly in this recipe. And should we measure? About a cup. And again, if Mimi went a little heavy on the wine, it's all good. Okay. So now we're just going to stir that up really well. And you definitely want a side like mashed potatoes or rice, or in this case buttered noodles, to go with this dish, because you're going to be left with this. The star of the show is not only the beef, which is going to be fall apart, incredibly tender and flavorful, but is this wonderful gravy that the beef is cooking in. So just take the time and mix this together. And my grandmother Mimi had the tiniest kitchen because back in the day they didn't have these big kitchens. Hers was just a little galley kitchen. But, you know, she'd throw this in the oven and she was able to, you know, create some really great flavors out of that little tiny kitchen. So then you're going to take a casserole dish, spray it. Again, you could also do this recipe in the slow cooker. I prefer it in the oven, but it can be done in the slow cooker. Get it all in here. And then you want to cover this dish with foil. You want to bake this covered. And the oven temperature is 300 or 325, depending on your oven. So cover it with foil, and it must. This is one of those dishes you cannot rush this dish. There is just no way possible. So we started ours early this morning, and it's been cooking low and slow for about 4 hours. Because you need that meat to just break down and cook in this wonderful gravy so that it gets tender as all get out. So at this point, we're going to cover this guy up. This is a great make-ahead, so if you're having company, you know, that night, whip it together quick in the morning and just throw it in the oven about 3 or 4 hours before everybody gets there. A good 4 hours I would do, depending on the chunks of your beef, because you really want that beef to be tender. If it's not tender, this dish is not gonna fly. Okay, the house is going to start to smell amazing. Let's check on our pasta. I think don't overcook your noodles. I think we're good to go there. We'd always toss the noodles with some butter, and Mimi would too, so I definitely think that we're going to be doing that. Throw them back in the pan. Drain them really well. Mushrooms in here would be fantastic. That would be an added step. You could saute some mushrooms at the end, or even have them on the side for those people who don't like mushrooms, and just saute some whole button or sliced mushrooms in some butter and add that to the dish. That would be really delicious. We add a little butter to those noodles. And then we're going to plate it up. I'm going to show you the beef that we've got in the oven that we've been all smelling here all morning. It's killing us. A little bit of salt. Don't overcook your noodles. That is a biggie. All right. Come back with me. This is one of those dishes that just brings back so many memories. Gotta be hot, so be careful. Oh, does this smell good. Take some of those buttered noodles. Nice big, beautiful green salad, some nice crusty bread. Great dessert, and call it a day. That's why this is a perfect date night or great for entertaining type recipe. Let's take some of the beef and gravy, and just, can you see it just kind of fell apart on me there? I'm going to show you with a fork how tender it gets. Just, that's what you're looking for. And if you're not getting that fork tender kind of pull apart, it's not ready yet. So throw it back in there. And that gravy is just really nice and thick. Pure comfort food. But it's a little special because it's got the wine in there, and it's just it's something more than just pot roast or beef stew or something like that. I don't know, to me it's just something a little bit fancier. And a little fresh or dried parsley over the top. And let me tell you, it was a hit at all Mimi's dinner parties. I think it will be a hit for your family or your get-togethers too, or your date night in. And if you're looking for the recipe, by the way, you can get this recipe on our website. Coming up, some more fun romantic recipes. We're making chocolate souffle and the cutest ever cinnamon sugar raspberry cream cheese wonton hearts that make a quick last-minute Valentine's dessert, and lots more fun ideas for Valentine's Day. We're getting romantic today, so stay with us. We'll be back.